this.
So I want to talk about something that I actually don't see a lot of people talking about. Man, I say that like so much. I guarantee if you go back and someone made like a thing in my videos, it'd say that like 1,000 times. If you go back and check all my videos, I will say the same thing. And this is one that I feel like has a point more than other ones. That makes no sense. But what a lot of people aren't talking about is with the new Link summoning that the game is slowing down. But will Konami work with the new mechanic? Now you might be like, well, they're making a new mechanic, they're going to make cards that use the mechanic. And I hear you. And that makes sense. But are they going to go by the mechanic of what they're doing it for? So if you look at this mechanic, and this could be wrong. I mean, I could be wrong. But it basically looks like they purposely made this to slow it down. To slow down the game, to put it back on pace, and kind of get a more realistic, not realistic, but more, I wouldn't even say fair, because it hasn't been implemented yet, but it just looks like they're trying to make it a little bit more fair playing base, and try to even out the speed a little bit of some decks without just flat out banning cards right now. It's seeming to try to even the playing field to some degree, and adding some new characteristics to the game. That is what I took from it. So, but will Konami stick with that plan? Are they just going to eventually start making Link summoning type cards that will just completely overpower it and make the game faster than it even is now? So, like, here's where the game is now, fast-wise. They're taking it to about here. But eventually, just like how it's happened in the game, no matter what mechanic has been made, we'll eventually get to here. So, yes, will it eventually, it takes a step back, but is it going to go forward to even where we are now, where the game is still pretty fast right now? I mean, I'd say there's been formats that are maybe a little bit faster, but right now, the format is pretty darn fast, okay? It is a Roadrunner. Games can last like 2 turns, and then you can also have games last like 1,000 turns, but it more or less, the game only lasts like maybe 5 or 6 turns back and forth. It's a very quick game, and with Link summoning, I'd say double that to whatever amount of time it's taking, because it just takes more time to set up. But will there be more Link summoning cards coming out that will overstack this? So, my answer is yes. I know that already makes this discussion kind of rather pointless, but it's a foreseeable future because the game was, let's go back in time. The game was pretty slow, but not terribly slow back before Synchros. When Synchros came out, even the most basic Synchro cards they came out with, the original ones, it was easy as hell to start just making these monsters on the field. Even though they were basic Synchros, they were just easy to make with simple cards that you could just use, like Marauding Captain and then like a tuner, and then bam, there you go, there's a level 5 or a level 6, right there, so simple. And it just put a new mechanic on the game that just increased speed. And then when Xyz were brought out later, they added on to what Synchros were there, so now in a lot of decks, not at first, but now it's like, oh, I can either Synchro up or I can Xyz, and I have multiple options in my deck because I play tuners and monsters that are leveled the same. So it makes a dynamic where speed was just slowly increasing. Then we got card effects where monsters were just summoned so quickly, and then you could Synchro into these monsters, which would bring out other monsters, and you can make Xyz monsters, and it just kept expanding. And then when Pendulums come out, the game just increased, and there was no going back. The game just kept going fast constantly. It was at a constant arch. And while there would be bandless things to make that go down and up, the speed eventually just rose. Now, I say for the past couple of years, we're kind of at a standpoint where it's like speeds like this right now on the graph. It's not really, there will be times where a little bit slower, and the next format it'll get really faster, but it's been in like the same like space of that much. I know these are understanding because I'm not going to go through the time and actually make graphs because fuck that. But you get my point. But with Link summoning, we're taking a step back to a good degree. I wouldn't say we're like completely just halting the speed of the game, because we're not. But we are slowing it down a bit. We'll slow down. With new Link summoning cards coming out later, say give the game another year and a half or so, we're going to start to see cards where it just completely brings it back to normal speed, or even further in speed, combined with the other things we have in it. And I'd honestly say yes, I would keep your eyes open for that. With this new mechanic, I think Konami, because they always do, they will start to make cards, and it's like they don't even read the effects before they print them. They're like, oh, this card allows you to summon 5 monsters and destroy all your opponent's spell and trap cards. Let's print it! Like, who is making these fucking cards? Don't get me wrong, I know it's probably hard as hell to keep thinking of ideas to make cards, and you gotta kind of repeat ideas. I mean, some decks and I'm going to make probably a series on this, and if anybody steals this, I swear to God I will fucking say something. But I'm going to make a series on decks that are pretty much just copies of a deck with some slight variant change, because that has already happened. There have been already some decks in the years, in just the past 3 or 4 years, that are kind of pretty much the same as this deck, except one little thing's changed to make that other one weaker and to make that one stronger. They're pretty much copy and paste decks. And I think Link Summoning is trying to remove that a little bit, but eventually Konami will put it right back in. So what am I saying here? The game will probably speed back up. So I saw that some people are like, yay, the game's going to be slow. And then other people are like, nah, the game's slow. Well, don't worry, because it's going to probably speed right back up in another year or so. So if you don't want to play the game right now, then put the deck down. But I think Link Summoning will make the game speed at least go back to where it was and up. And like I said, it's too early to tell because Link Summoning is not out yet, but these are all predictions. Nostradamus, bitch! Let me know down below, what do you think? Do you think that Link Summoning will just complete the game at a halt and speed will pretty much stay relatively the same no matter what comes out? Or do you think eventually it will surpass where we're at now, or just go back to where it kind of was in speed? Let me know down below. I want to hear some thoughts. Nobody really shares thoughts. They just comment random shit like I'm first. Guess what? You're not first. I'm first every time. What's up? Okay, let me know down below. I'll see you later. Peace. I'm resting my head on my light because the warmth feels good through my soul.
Damn.